guys, welcome back to season 2, episode 4 of Astrea's Broken Heart. There we go, The Awakening. So we're in a house code right now because it's late, and I've already tried to record this episode once already, but my power went out on me. So great, absolutely perfect. I got up to a part where you get a new pet, and then yeah, we had a crash. So let's try this again. All right. Right, we were being attacked in our dreams. The episode contains mentions of substance abuse. Please read on with caution. Oh. Melody breathed heavily into her tear-soaked pillow. As was often the case after particularly heavy dreams, she was stuck somewhere between reality and fantasy. She had the feeling that more was lurking in the corner. Okay, so we did wake up from the dream. As if patiently waiting for Melody to come to him willingly. She could still smell the burnt scent of his skin. Her whole body ached from his touch. Do dreams ever feel this real? Melody had struggled all night. She could not escape her nightmare. Reality was so close, rippling above her in trembling circles, but more forcibly held her underwater until the morning. Goodness. Melody stared unblinkingly ahead. She could still see his face with its hollow eye sockets in front of her. Anyway, she couldn't remember what color his eyes had been before. Maybe they were always empty, bottomless pits? The first rays of sunlight illuminated the bedroom, chasing the horrors back into the room's crevices, but Melody could sense that they hadn't disappeared. How much longer can I endure these dreams again and again? She was sure that her lost memory was to blame. My subconscious is painting the most horrible pictures to try and fill in the gaps. Every night my tormentors come to me and abuse me, and each time they go further. I have to remember everything, confront my fears, seek help from a specialist, start taking sedatives. Which route am I playing? I feel like I'm doing a skeptic route. I can't remember if it's Cassiel's or Malek's. I'll check in a minute, but I think it's Malek's, though. I think I'm playing Malek. Okay, yeah, I think I am. So, we're gonna go with that. Oh, wait. I didn't notice this at first, but she has markings as if someone was really holding her down. And if that was just a dream, then she wouldn't have those markings. That's scary. Okay, but since we're thinking skeptic, we're kind of going to go seek help. There's no denying that what I saw traumatized me. And if there's trauma, a doctor's help is necessary. Her body responded to her tentative attempts to stand with a new wave of pain. Melody struggled to make her way to the mirror, then closed her eyes for a moment. She knew she was in for an uphill battle against the dark circles under her eyes and her tired appearance, but the mirror managed to surprise her. There were small bruises in the spots where an eyeless boar had touched her in the dream. Am I injuring myself? The red marks on her neck and arms weren't very noticeable, but they were enough to scare her. They're her neck too? It is a little bruised. No, I can't just leave things like this. Melody didn't want to seek help from her former colleagues at Goodlam. Malek came to mind. Of course, he's a busy man. It's not a given that he'll make time for me, but it's worth a try. Okay, good. The phone in Melody's hand suddenly came to life. You slept too long, Melody. I didn't wake you up or wait for you. Sorry. Your gift is in the living room. See you later. Right. The animal. How curious. Before going to investigate the mysterious present, Melody decided to ask Malek if he would see her today. He replied to the text in his usual laconic way. He promised to pick her up in an hour. I need to wash away all these nightmares. Perhaps still thinking about the upcoming meeting with the professor, Melody chose an interesting outfit. Right, and I went with get everything. Mm-hmm. And I liked these two the most. Let's go with this one for this one. She fixed her hair too. Long braids. I thought this was a very beautiful color. I love this color. I think I'm gonna wear it. I should have bought everything. Didn't I already buy everything? Let me... Hold on. Oh yeah. It just pops up with glasses even though they don't say that that's what's gonna be there. It's really funny. I can't decide if I like the circle ones or the square ones more. She limited her breakfast to a modest cup of coffee, just like in college. Melody quickly gulped down the invigorating beverage, then ran to the living room. She looked around, searching for a clue as to where Felonia had left the item, but then a gift greeted her with a cheerful chirp. An ortolan? A tiny yellow bird sat in a cage, waiting for its new owner. The fragile creature tilted his head curiously, beckoning Melody closer. Was it like that thing that that was fed to us and that served to us in the restaurant, right? The Felonia shut down the illegal activities of that wretched... there you go. Restaurant and decided to give me a condemned bird. She couldn't stop thinking about the fate that the bird had avoided thanks to her savior. The fates we both avoided. It's a good thing that you don't know what was threatening you. Melody didn't think long about what to do next. She immediately took the cage to the garden. She opened the door and waited for the bird to decide to leave her temporarily home. Instead of flying away, the ortolan hopped onto a branch and stared at Melody. As if sensing that something was happening, a wolf emerged from the bushes. Hello. Hi, I brought you a new neighbor. Axel barked in approval and sprawled out under the tree. I need to make a feeder for her. The ortolan was soon joined by the lone bird that had seen Harry off on the day of his escape from Astrea. Oh. The old garden inhabitant shamelessly hopped onto the thin branch and over to the guest, chirping a greeting. Now you won't be alone here. The thought of the garden coming to life warmed her heart. Melody let the inhabitants be, both old and new. She left the garden with undisguised joy. Okay. And that's where it cut out on me. Alright, new stuff now. Here we go. Malek was already waiting for her at the main entrance. This time his curiosity was directed not at the building, but at the trees surrounding it. He met her with a question instead of a greeting. Do you like your garden? The question seemed out of place, but Melody answered obediently as she caught up with him. It's just a garden. It soothes me. I see. It must have a rich history. Perhaps. I haven't fully explored it yet. It seems vast to me. Malek was silent, lost in thought. Melody didn't know what he was waiting for. She asked, Do you want to take a walk? Someday, definitely. But not today. Malek smiled broadly and opened the car door. Judging by his friendly face, I'm not bothering him too much. But as soon as she got into the car, his smile disappeared. Melody didn't notice. What does he have against the garden? Maybe it's not what he had against the garden. It's the inhabitant, the first inhabitant of the garden, Astrea herself, that he has trouble with. The professor apparently had no other appointments that day. Even the reception area was empty. The absence of the receptionist behind the door was both unsettling and exciting. It made Malek's guest seem important. Is he seeing me on his off day? Would you like something to drink? No, thank you. Melody didn't wait for Malek to ask the first main question. She decided to start by expressing her gratitude. Thank you for agreeing to see me. My doors are always open to you, Melody. Malek stood by his desk. She watched him and didn't dare to sit down either. I think I should clarify the purpose of my visit. I was hoping you could conduct a hypnosis session with me. And here I thought you decided to catch up on the lectures you missed. Melody sputtered. She didn't immediately understand what he meant. His gaze glided shamelessly over her curves, cluing her in. Interesting choice. Makes one think. Is that specifically because I chose professors? What did the outfit say? Professor. I was talking about professor. About what? About the lessons I could teach you. His offhand remark almost jumbled all the thoughts in her head. But Melody found the strength not to give in to the strange provocation. She continued. Malek, the thing is, I think I might be losing my mind. My world is changing. I don't understand what's happening to me. This feels faith. This feels like faith. Could these both be skeptic? This one is giving more like completely lost, though. Or not sure. Actually, they both get pretty lost. Skeptic is harder for me to manage. Let me try this one. I see things I can't explain. I see them as clearly as I see you now. Okay. Everything around me has turned into one big mystery. I can't put this puzzle together, and most importantly, I'm missing the most crucial pieces. All I know about what happened to me in the burned village is what Mikael told me. Raphael assured me that my memory will return, but so far it hasn't. Malek was unable to suppress a smirk. He asked, "Did he? Does he have it? Does he have it somewhere in his possession?" Yep. He does. He does. If it was a joke, Melody didn't find it funny. It's a bit funny to me, I'll be honest. I have to remember, and I don't have time to wait. Are you that eager to dive back into the nightmare you experienced? It's all about getting rid of my nightmares. It's hard to explain what's happening to me in my dreams. Malek stepped away from his desk and approached Melody. Nervously, she took a step back, and her calves bumped into the cool partition. Are you afraid of your own subconscious? Malek said this with a sneer that stung her pride. I'm not afraid of my subconscious. I hurt myself in my sleep. This morning I found bruises all over my body. I almost suffocated. You're losing control of your life. You said so yourself a moment ago. Should I tell you that self-harm is common in such situations? Melody felt like a stupid student. She bit her lip. I'm not trying to regain control in that way. I do this when I'm asleep. It's different. Are you sure the marks were really there? This question was the last straw. Melody almost hissed in response. I'm not crazy yet. Did I say that? Malek came closer. He reached out and casually flipped her hair back over her shoulder. Were the bruises here? Melody understood that she had come to him of her own free will. Not to a friend, but to a specialist, and his behavior should be viewed as that of a doctor. He's asking the right questions. He's not doing anything inappropriate. He just wants to make sure I'm not lying, to see for himself. But he was too close, and it was arousing or frightening. Oh boy. So I'm determined to play all of the routes for every single romantic interest because surprisingly, and unlike most stories, all of the romantic interests kind of, at the very least, interest me if I'm not. But Malek is like right on the cusp of being just like slightly, just a bit too much unsettling for me, but I find him very interesting though, so I want to see where this goes. So okay, here we go. Yes, they were on my neck. Malek lowered his eyes to the fabric and leaned forward. Can you show me? It was impossible for her to see him only as a doctor. Her face flushed at his suggestion that she expose herself a little. Malek savored her embarrassment. He made her blush even more by clarifying. Just the neck, Melody. Nothing more. All right. Unbutton the shirt yourself or let him do it. I can do it myself, thanks. Melody tried to calm her slight trembling. She unbuttoned the first button. Without breaking eye contact, she unbuttoned the second one. Melody waited obediently for Malek to say he saw the bruises, to tell her to stop. He didn't. But at the fourth button, she was interrupted by his cool hand. Malek's hand rested on her collarbone so naturally and unexpectedly that it took her breath away. His fabric? Oh, I read the bottom word first. His fingers slipped under the fabric. They brushed roughly against her skin and pulled the collar down. Melody felt a rush of heat, not just from his touch, but from the way he looked at her. Malek gazed at her shamelessly, not hiding his interest. And although his hand rested chastely on her naked shoulder, her whole body burned. There's nothing on your skin. Not knowing why, Melody replied in a whisper. That can't be. His fingers slid up to her neck. They covered it gently, mimicking the position of Moore's hand in her dream. For a moment, she thought Malek resembled a serpent. With his smooth movements, his predatory gaze, and his words full of hidden temptation. Melody, it's not that easy to leave marks on the skin. I don't think you could squeeze your neck with that kind of force and not wake up. With what kind of force? This is not safe. Can I even show this on YouTube? They're pushing the boundaries here. The room filled with a sound that was either a soft, short laugh or a sharp exhalation. Do you want me to show you? Melody responded before she fully realized what Malek was offering. Excuse me? The hell? Melody tried to turn away to gather her thoughts, but Malek didn't let her. He left her neck alone, but lifted her chin with his fingers. He made her look into his eyes. Perhaps not the nightmares that torment you, but your hidden desires. Melody couldn't tell if he was teasing her or simply taunting her by questioning everything she had said. Irritation managed to break through the embarrassment. She lashed out with a not-so-threatening assumption. Maybe it's you who they're tormenting. This time, Malek really laughed. It was a soft, velvety laugh. Maybe, Melody. Maybe. Finally stepping back, he returned the collar of her shirt to its original state. He began to button her shirt. He did so with deliberate slowness, as if prolonging the pleasure. Next time, Melody, take a picture when you wake up with marks on you. Otherwise, I might think you're actually trying to seduce me. That's not why I came here. She struggled to speak. And it wasn't even about his touch. There were too many conflicting emotions raging inside her. To her horror, Melody felt a strange, almost imperceptible desire rise against her will. A desire to submit to him. Of course. Malek brushed invisible dust from her shoulder and nodded faintly toward the couch. Let's go. I wonder why the marks disappeared. We'll lay you down on the couch and try to bring back your memory. Melody walked over to the window and obediently lay down. Her skin still burned from his touch. It was hard to focus. Relax, Melody. Listen to me. It only took her... Oh! That was kind of cool. Like, when it showed her closing her eyes, the back kind of, like, blurred out a little bit. It only took her a few minutes to slip into the trance. Her body longed to find the answers to the questions. Picture Ruth. You haven't seen each other in a long time. She smiles broadly at you, eager for a hug. She smells of green tea. You press closer to her. Now you catch the light berry scent of shampoo coming from her soft hair. How do you feel? Melody felt awful. And she felt that way the whole time that she allowed herself to be guided by the professor's voice. Malek didn't just succeed in his task, he exceeded her expectations. He walked her through all the events of that day. Then, he lingered in the church, the most controversial part of her memories. The moment when Raphael revealed his snow-white wings and hovered beneath the ceiling. What she saw made her want to hide immediately, but Malek asked her to describe the angel in detail. And you weren't the only one who saw him? Everyone saw him. Melody was shaking all over. She tried to escape the memory, but the soft voice kept her in the burning building. Melody gasped for breath through the smoke and the smell of blood. She looked up. What did you feel when Raphael burned those people? Fear. I felt an animal fear when I looked at him. He radiated such power that my own seemed insignificant. How did you get home? At this point, her memory lost its vividness. Only strange sensations remained, pain and cold. Wind whistling in her ears, the warmth of someone else's body. Raphael carried me in his arms. Where are you now? Melody found herself in her room. She felt fear again. Now that she knew the outcome, she also felt shame. I'm in my bedroom. I hear their anxious voices. They're all nearby. Why do they need you, Melody? Melody obeyed the voice. She suddenly found herself in Astrea's living room, face to face with new superiors. Mikael says that all roads will lead me to the beast. Are they using you? They hope I'll lead the beast to its demise. Malek's gaze became thoughtful and detached, like the day she had first come to him. Hey, buddy. I asked you about their memories from that night. You're now reaching. You're reaching for information. Melody heard a new question, so she continued answering this one. But their hopes, like their fears, are laughable. Fears. Some roads lead me to the beast's victory. Melody was now frozen in a completely empty room, recreated by her subconscious. She listened. Good girl, Melody. Now it's time to come back. Melody slowly resurfaced into reality, following the man's quiet voice. Along with her memory, the fear had returned. Sometime later. This time, Melody didn't refuse a drink. Malek offered her several options. I'll have water, iced tea, brandy. Iced tea. She had to hold the glass with her two hands to bring it to her mouth. An angel, an honest-to-God angel in the house I live in. Melody swallowed her rising panic along with the liquid and whispered, No wonder I'm having nightmares. Everything Mikael had said was actually true. Raphael had saved her and it meant no harm, but knowing who he was didn't make it any easier. This time, Malek didn't sit at his desk. He sat on the sofa next to her. He looked at her with undisguised curiosity and asked her how she was feeling. Just fine. Hope you're not planning to put me in an asylum. Keep your feelings to yourself. Seems more skeptical. It's kind of like snappy. I've heard stories far more fantastic than yours, Melody. So what if you saw an angel? It's much more intriguing to listen to the people who have seen the devil. Melody played along with his mood and smiled crookedly. He really thinks I'm losing my mind, but maybe I am. Melody squeezed her eyes shut and tried to erase the image of Raphael. The vision was frozen in her mind's eye. She didn't doubt the reality of what she had seen, but she couldn't figure out how to live with it. Melody looked at Malek and remembered her friend. Ruth really betrayed me. She was ready to hand me over to those fanatics. She suddenly wanted to go home to Astrea, to safety, and never leave its walls again. Interesting, she sees that as home now. I almost died. I was really ready to give up my life. Shocked by this revelation, Melody didn't even realize what she was whispering. And before death, I thought of you. For the first time, genuine confusion flashed across Malek's face. His curiosity vanished and his questions sounded surprisingly sincere, without mockery. Why me? I don't know. But at the moment, I desperately wanted to be here in your office. Melody wasn't really thinking about what she was saying. She was just venting the emotions that suddenly overwhelmed her. But they made Malek think. Where would this thought lead him? The room was silent for several long moments. Finally, Malek seemed to make some kind of decision. He stood up. I'm going to give you some sedatives. They'll help you sleep peacefully. Of course, who'd doubt it? Melody didn't stop him. She silently accepted the bottle of pills from his hands. You can take one right now. They won't take effect immediately. The printed name was familiar, but Melody was reluctant to take the medication. I have a hard enough time waking up as it is. What if the nightmares don't go away? The awkward silence was broken by her phone. It beeped loudly with a message from Mikael. It looks like I have to go. New assignment? Yes, I have to leave. Melody shoved the bottle into her bag and got up. I'll give you a ride. No need, I'll call a taxi. I insist. Clearly you can't be left unattended for even a minute, Melody. If you go missing, your colleagues will tear me apart. It was hard to believe that someone like Malek could really fear anyone, and it was even harder to believe in his concern. Still, given the choice between a taxi and Malek's car, Melody was more inclined to choose the latter. The fewer outsiders in my life, the better. Melody thanked Malek for everything and went to his car. Filoni was waiting for her at the given address. Malek continued his show of care. He handed the evaluator directly into the hands of her colleague. He introduced himself. Malek Center. Filoni didn't respond immediately. First, she gave the man a suspicious look. She forced out her name with such reluctance that no one could miss how she had no intention of continuing the conversation. Felonia. But Malek did not let her go so easily. How curious. I wonder why your parents gave you a name with such a perverse meaning. In the old French, felony means evil or an immoral act. And for what purpose did yours give you such a lofty one? Malek is Arabic for king. Interesting. Malek shrugged and smiled. Many people want greatness for their children. But punishment is the first time I've encountered such a thing. Royals should avoid such encounters. Felonia's anger grew with each word, while Malek's smile only widened. I didn't expect Astrea to have such personalities. I don't work at Astrea. I'm with the police. Oh, that makes sense to me now. Why is he picking on her? Change the subject, reproach Malek, or say nothing. We're definitely not going to say nothing. Let's just change the subject. Fel, didn't we need to hurry to that meeting? Yes, Melody, let's go. Thanks for the ride, Malek. You didn't let Malek continue the strange conversation. Felonia is grateful. Well, it was nice meeting you. Instead of a handshake, Malek offered Felonia his business card. If you ever need help with anything, I'll be glad to assist. Melody was certain that Felonia wouldn't even touch the small card, but after a brief moment of hesitation, she took it. Felonia waited for Malek to get into his car, then blurted out, "Who is he?" Melody wasn't quite sure how to describe him. "He's helping me and Mikael. He's looking for anything related to the beast, and he also helped me recover my memory today." Felonia didn't ask anything more. She simply nodded and walked toward the house. So she's not at all interested in what I managed to remember? Yeah, they all know, homie. The realization struck her quickly. It grew into a burning resentment almost immediately. Of course, at Astrea, everyone knows everything and no one tells me anything directly. Wait. Felonia turned reluctantly and waited. She was bracing herself for something. You knew Raphael was an angel, didn't you? I did. And you didn't tell me? Felonia chose not to answer the rhetorical question at all. The resentment turned into anger. Who else lives under the same roof as me? Who are you, really? Certainly not an angel. Melody was angry at everyone around her and ready to cry with frustration. Why couldn't you just tell me? Yes, I probably wouldn't have believed you, but at least it wouldn't have been such a shock. It doesn't matter, Melody. What else can you all do? What else are you hiding from me? Did my own memory disappear on its own, or was that your doing? Felonia met Melody's aggression with her own. I didn't do anything to you. Raphael erased your memory so you wouldn't lose your mind. You're barely holding on as it is. Do you think it was a bad decision? But it's my memory, mine. You're just a human, Melody, weak and incapable of handling everything at once. The only reason things are kept from you is to protect you. Melody's anger slowly began to fade. Shame took its place. Felonia noticed the change in the evaluator and also calmed down. She began to speak more softly. They really could have told you sooner. And if Somnus and Furious hadn't gotten involved, I'm sure they would have kept the truth from you even longer. Still, Melody remembered the feelings Malek had brought back all too well. The primal fear she had felt that night was nothing compared to what she felt now. Alright, maybe there was some sense in it, but damn it, Fel. Angels? Demons? Am I really supposed to accept this? Come on, Melody, please. Let's let this tough conversation for our boss. He started all this. Melody had almost forgotten the main point. She caught herself. Where exactly are we going? To Emma's. We're going to talk to her father. The image of the miserable, frightened young woman from the club immediately came to mind. Emma. Ah! The one who lost her sister that night. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Melody was afraid of the answer, but still she hesitantly asked, Does something happen to her? No. Mikael just wants to know more about her father. If I remember correctly, he is a chef. No, that's that other guy. And he had a son. A pastor. Nope, that's you. Owned a bioinfinity startup. Okay, yeah. So yeah. No. Definitely had to be this one. Yes. He promised people a cure for death. You have an excellent memory. No, it's just that I know the other two options for sure, because they kept bringing to us that restaurant guy, so I know for sure it's not the restaurant guy, and not connected to Emma, because he definitely had a son, because I was really put off by the fact that he really was not worried about that kid dying at all. Anyway, he's already served time for his financial scams. Do you think we'll run into another fanatic? I don't think so. Emma mentioned that her sister used to go to church. The woman stopped at an old house that clearly needed repairs. Felonia couldn't find a doorbell, so she knocked. A man with a downcast, gloomy face opened the door. I wonder if that conversation with Fel would go slightly differently if we were playing on her... What's the name? I guess I'll see, and I'll let you guys know if I notice anything interesting there. When I do some replays. You're early. Emma isn't ready yet. We're from the police. Melody had never seen deep grief disappear so quickly. It seemed that with one sentence, Filoni had replaced the man's sorrow with genuine disgust. I have nothing to say to you. I've done nothing wrong. Good for you. But we want to talk to Emma. What's wrong with her? Filoni sighed irritably. She made what was clearly her last attempt to keep her composure. I'd like not to believe there's nothing wrong with her. We need to show her a photo of Barbara, a suspected killer, to see if she saw him at the club. When the man realized the police hadn't come for him, he gave in and let the women in. You don't have much time. Don't worry, we won't keep you for long. The modestly furnished room had worn furniture and looked shabby, but before sitting down on the offered chair, Melody pressed his back to test its sturdiness. Barbara didn't die that long ago, so this place didn't fall into disrepair because of the tragedy. She'll be down in a minute. There was no extra piece of furniture, so the man remained standing. He glared at Filoni and asked, "Did you catch him?" The question gave the evaluator pause. Really, what happened more? We didn't catch him. He died. He burned alive in a church. The man clicked his tongue in disappointment and turned away. Do you want to kill him with his own hands? Does he have any relatives? Filoni seemed to be thinking the same thing as the evaluator. She smirked. If you threaten his relatives, you'll end up back in prison. The man threw up his hands theatrically and clutched his heart. God forbid. What are you talking about? I just want to sue them, that's all. Barbara's death brought us so much grief, we could use the money. The condition of the house suggested the family could indeed use the money. He wanted to get rich by deceiving people, and now he himself is poor. Filoni wasn't satisfied with his answer. Instead, her features hardened and her voice grew frighteningly cold. Did you pay moral damages to the victims of bioinfinity? The man no longer clutched his heart. Instead, he assumed a threatening, closed-off pose. What a comparison. Did I kill anyone? Didn't patients refuse treatment because of your promises? How many people have you robbed of their loved ones? The conversation was becoming very tense. I didn't force anyone to follow me. I believed that my project would work. All the test subjects signed waivers. They had no claims against me. He took advantage of people who had lost all hope? Yeah. It's hard not to judge a person like that. Any questions will only bury him deeper. So... She returned the money? Oh, he definitely didn't try to return it. Unless he was forced, he definitely wouldn't have wanted her to do that. I had nothing to return. It all really went into development. Why did you get such a long sentence? Was it long? I served my time for bioinfinity a long time ago. There were many risky projects after that. Again, I didn't kill anyone. The cause of death for the 6 volunteers was the progression of their diseases. But they probably could have gotten help from if they hadn't believed your idiot at. Anyway. You're just a con man, that's all. You don't take the easy way out, do you? Is it my fault that people part with their money so easily? And I suppose you spend all your earnings on lawyers? The man lifted his chin proudly and said, I don't spend a penny on them. You'd be surprised, but not everyone sees something illegal in what I do. There are still people in this world who, out of conscience, are willing to help the wrongfully accused. Melody really wanted to ask him why he was living so poorly if that was the case, but the awkward question was interrupted by Emma's appearance. She entered the living room quietly like a ghost. Ignoring the guest, she approached her father and said she was ready to go. The downtrodden, exhausted young woman looked so unwell that Melody couldn't help but sigh softly. Emma. Emma turned around. She looked at Melody and Filoni with dull eyes. Slowly, recognition blossomed on her face as she realized that she was meeting familiar people, even if they weren't close. It's you. Oh boy. This is a completely different person. The joy didn't last long. It evaporated almost immediately under the weight of the grief she had experienced. She looks terrible. Where are you taking her? To a talk show. You're gonna put her on camera? To make some cash? Emma's already slumped shoulders drooped even more. I don't think she wants to go. Why a talk show? And we need to talk about how much we all miss her sister. No, she does not. And not to that, she needs to talk to a therapist. She does not need to go talk on a talk show. And I'll talk about how I was against her and Barb going to that club. To make yourself out to look to be a good person. It's about time that all these hotspots were shut down. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes at her father's first sentence. She sobbed softly and whimpered. I don't want to talk to them about Barb. They didn't know her. They'll say she was a whore for going into that room. Exactly. You need to tell them that she was dragged there by force. Tell them that your sister fought back, that she tore her nails clawing at the walls, that she was calling for you, that she didn't want to... Please stop. Emma grew paler with each word. Is he completely out of his mind? No, he's greedy. And he doesn't care about his own kids. I don't think she should go with you. Who are you to say that? I'm her father. How old is this girl? Maybe I should decide what she does and doesn't do. Felonia supported the now speechless evaluator. Maybe Emma should decide what she does and doesn't do. She's an adult, isn't she? Emma, do you want to go on this talk show? Nobody should force you to do anything you don't want to, Emma. Nobody. Emma trembled all over and shook her head. Excuse me, but we're getting paid a lot of money for just one episode. There it is. I don't see the difference between her crying on the camera and her crying in the bathroom. Trauma! Melody felt like hitting him. Thank you. We're on the same page. Yeah. We defend. Let him take her away. Absolutely not. Emma made it clear that she doesn't want to go. Are you going to force her in front of the police? The man immediately lost his temper and tried to reason with his daughter, but Felonia's angry glare made him back off. There was a knock on the door. There was no more time to argue over money. Emma will come to her senses. If not today, then tomorrow. After all, I'm all she's got. Go ahead and play the Guardians for now. Slapping a massive grief back on his face, the man hurried to the reporters already waiting for him. The unpleasant scene left a bitter aftertaste that everyone wanted to get rid of. All subjects seemed heavy, but talking about trivial things felt out of place. Melody chose the lesser evil. Did your father lose everything? Lose? He didn't pay anyone a single cent. The glance that Melody cast around the room spoke for itself. Emma hurried to explain. He has money. He just doesn't like to spend it. He never has. So he let her live in squalor while he's squirreling money away? The sparsely furnished room was devoid of any personal valuable items. It confirmed the young woman's words. Not even any pictures. He didn't bother with them because he didn't need them. My sister and I worked part-time together as waitresses after uni. We wanted to move out one day and live together. We didn't make much. We comforted ourselves by saying that modesty teaches us to be selective and everything. We chose the best club and didn't go anywhere else. Bob bought herself such a gorgeous dress. It took her so long to pick it out. She looked so beautiful in it. Unable to stand any longer, Emma slid to the floor. She curled up just like the day Melody found her. We should have just stayed home. We should have stayed home our whole lives. Then she wouldn't have died. Melody sat down next to her and let Emma lean on her shoulder. Felonia brooded as she tried to come up with a solution. Where's your mother, Emma? Emma replied in a muffled voice without lifting her head. She's upstairs. She hates me. She blames me for Barb's death. She's grieving too, Emma. I know. She didn't say it to my face. She doesn't say anything to me anymore. Not a word. She doesn't even look at me. Emma sobbed and burst into tears. Melody hugged the young woman and waited patiently. Felonia seemed to have decided something. She crouched down in front of them and gently pulled Emma away from her colleague. Emma, do you have any other relatives? I have a grandmother, but she lives on the other side of the city. Do you want us to take you there? Emma nodded and stood up so quickly it was as if she was afraid they would change their minds. It was like at the club, they evaluated how to take Emma by the arm and help her reach the car. It was obvious how much the walls of the house weighed on Emma. She had no one there to support her. She was lost, drowning in her own grief. Melody knew very well what it felt like to have everyone around you rush by, leaving you with no one to lean on. But she couldn't even imagine what this was like, to be plunged into such crushing loneliness, about not by birth, but by the loss of the closest person to you in the world. Is it even possible to overcome this? You stood up for Emma and helped her. She won't forget it. Okay, does that mean that there's hope for Emma? That down the line, hopefully we'll see her again and she'll be in a better place? She's gotta get away from that father. Getting away from the mother will help too. Honestly. I can't blame the mother for being upset, but I can blame her for shutting out one of her kids. But that's a hard situation. Like, if you genuinely blamed one of your kids for getting the other one killed. That's really tough. It's easy to say you shouldn't shut out your kid, right? But you don't know how you would feel until you're living it. Until you're living with one kid gone, potentially because of some of the choices of the other kid. But in that situation, yeah, it's hard to say how to know. Like I said, it's easy to pick a side on the outside, but unless you live it, I guess that's really tough. Yeah, I can't really. But the dad, though, him for sure. He for sure is a jerk. Astrea Detective Agency. It was only at Astrea's door that Melody remembered that they had never shown Emma the picture of Moore. Felonia reassured her. She said that wasn't the reason they had gone there. But then she hesitated and suddenly refused to enter the building. You know what? I think I'm going to find out exactly who helped Emma's father get out of prison. Will you tell Mikael everything yourself? Melody suspected that it had become even more difficult for Felonia to talk to the others. She agreed willingly. Okay. In Mikael's office, I think we're going to switch over to Mikael's storyline. But before I do that, I think I'm going to play through Felonia's and see if that competition goes just a little bit differently. Alright, so we're back. Basically, yes, there was a different line in there when Felonia talked to Melody on her path. It was just a small one. Basically, when she accused her of taking her memory, so Felonia felt really hurt by that, and she said she would never hurt her or something like that. So yeah, it's just a slight difference, but yeah, now we're on Mikael's route, and we're gonna see how this conversation goes. Melody looked at Mikael, but couldn't stop thinking about something else. She tried to imagine what he was, since he introduced himself as Raphael's brother. An angel, probably? The report was brief indeed. Mikael stood at the window. He stared thoughtfully at the outline of Astrea's statue. When Melody finished, he did not speak right away. The young woman's father turned out to be far from a pleasant person. Just like all of our sinful fathers. The words just slipped out. Do you think sin is a key factor? Moore told me it wasn't about us, the victims, but about our ancestors. That all they needed was our blood, filled with their sins. Mikael turned away from the window and looked at her with respect. Yes, that does confirm my suspicions. Thank you for sharing, Melody. Even in most difficult situations, you managed to remain helpful. Oh, did I manage to get that information extra during the night at the church? Now will you share something with me? Of course. Mikael looked away from the gloomy garden and turned to her. He clasped his hands together. Melody didn't want to sit while he was standing, so she approached him and stood beside him. What do you think was your father's primary sin? I thought I was asking the questions here. That's easy. Wrath, sloth, pride, gluttony. A churchman, pride. Exactly, Melody. Your father thought himself a god. You knew your father well. Able to decide who lives and who dies. He defied the Creator and his pride destroyed him. The first victim's mother died from illness long before her son was murdered. She ran a small brothel and had a very perverted way of doing business, often exploiting others. Adam Valeno, the restaurant owner, became obsessed with the indulgence of the flesh. Emma's father hoards his money, terrified of spending an extra penny. It wasn't difficult to draw further connections between the sins. Harry's father killed his mother in a fit of rage. The 7 deadly sins? What? Lily's mother threw acid in her rival's face when she lost a role to her. Was that Envy? There was one more girl, the one whose murder led to more getting caught, right? Was her father guilty of sloth? Yes. He was heir to a wealthy family who never achieved anything. His only accomplishment in life was his daughter, but he lost her too. Before she died, Moore let her call her father. But he was neglectful and wrapped up in drugs, so he didn't even pick up the phone. It all sounded more or less clear, but something still nagged at Melody. Emma's father is certainly a jerk, but I doubt he's the greediest man in the world. And there are so many people prone to sloth these days that you could hold a casting call for the best example. There's definitely something more to this. And I think we're getting close to figuring it out. Mikael smiled and allowed himself to relax a little. Melody followed his example. She tried to find a silver lining in all of this. So, since there are 7 sins, does that mean that there won't be any more victims? They're apparently not looking for replacements. If they were, we'd have found a body with a mark by now. They need you. And Harry. And what happens if they succeed in sacrificing all 7? Mikael seemed to know, but was in no hurry to answer. Melody decided to speak up and try to read the truth in his eyes. Will the beast come to Earth? Her guess was not confirmed. Mikael shook his head sadly and finally answered, I'm afraid it's already here. It always has been. The question is, what will happen to us? His words only made things worse. Melody shivered involuntarily. She wrapped her arms around herself. For the first time, the thought that there was an angel in her team brought her some comfort. Her anger had vanished, replaced by a tentative acceptance of her fate in these strange circumstances. Maybe we have a chance? This time it was Mikael who decided to change the subject. Has your memory returned? You mentioned Moore's words. Realizing this, Melody nodded. Yes. And you didn't even try to bombard me with questions? Well, it appears that she's already offloaded on Felonia. Poor thing, and you're not catching any of it, even though you're the cause of all the secrets. Go figure. There are too many of them. And there are even more emotions inside me. I don't know whether to be angry or sad. It feels like I've gone through all of my emotions at least twice already. I feel crushed by them and exhausted. But if you're ready to answer, I'm ready to ask. Go ahead, Melody. Mikael invited her to proceed with a smile that loosened her hands and tongue. I cannot let him avoid the answer again. I asked with a directness and demand the same in his answers. Answer the main question. Who are you? An angel like Raphael or a human? I'm an archangel. The direct answer not only deprived her of the clarifying questions, but also of the power of speech. After what Raphael had done, it was possible to guess that they were all celestial beings. But somehow Melody still felt like the ground was slipping out from under her feet. She felt like asking, who am I then? And what connection do I have to all of you? And the others? Cassiel, Felonia, and David are demons. When he received no reply, Mikael continued. You have nothing to fear from them, Melody. The demon that possessed the girl's body is not like your colleagues. What a relief. Melody felt like a fish that had been thrown onto the shore. It was as if the river where she had lived for so many years had suddenly become poisoned. It forced her to flee, but even in this new place, she couldn't breathe. Are there many of you among humans? No. I think you can count us all on the fingers of one hand. Earth isn't the most attractive place for us. But you're here. Yes, and it's not our choice, it's our duty. She wanted to process this information alone, but the ease with which Mikael was answering questions today urged her to stay. Maybe I should stay a little longer? Here we go again. It's our interview style. Mikael waited, ready to help her accept this new world. His answers will probably make my head spin. Where are your wings? Jolly up and straight. Do you have any hell exists? Nothing more to say. Okay, we'll start with this one. Just whips him out. They're always with me. A quiet, soft rustling filled the room. It brought a proof that sent shivers down the evaluator's spine. Oh, they're interesting shot at the bottom. That's kind of cool. Wings grew behind Mikael's back like a snowy white mountain, slowly and majestically. The sight was so unusual and beautiful that it took her breath away. Even folded, they seemed enormous. I can unfold them. There was something intimate in the offer, but Melody couldn't resist a timid nod. Archangel's wings unfurled with a sharp whistle. She couldn't look away, even though her eyes stung with the light emanating from his feathers. The tips were tinged with gold, likely indicating the status of her superior. He's so beautiful, it's maddening. Melody felt how small this once large room had become, how insignificant she was compared to the being standing beside her. Archangel. It felt as though clouds had descended to earth with his wings, as though they filled her lungs with an overwhelming awe that made it hard to breathe. Melody? Melody was overcome with mixed emotions. She wanted to either laugh or fall to her knees. Mikael seemed to sense her mood. He hurriedly folded his wings. He gave his face an expression of human understanding. That's an interesting way to say that. He gave his face the image of human understanding. Like it's just like a fixed image that he has. Okay, let's put this one in place. Almost like a robot. But she still couldn't look at him the same way she had before. Did they get in your way? God gave us the ability to retract them at will before he sent us to Earth. We've grown so used to hiding from others that we don't even show our true forms to each other. And no one has noticed them until now? We control this process well. But sometimes someone might see a feather that fell from a wing. Melody suddenly remembered their first meeting. She couldn't hold back a nervous chuckle. I took a feather out of his hair. Who would have thought that I would see his true self right away? The same question that had crossed her mind when she remembered Raphael floating under the ceiling now came back to her. How should I act around him now? They're just wings, Melody. And you're just an archangel. Always answering my thoughts. Mikael pressed his lips guiltily like a thief caught red-handed. I can't read minds, Melody. It's just that sometimes your thoughts are too loud. What's that mean? Are you saying just reading it on my face? Or I can project my thoughts to you? Well, this means you can read minds. I'll try to think more quietly. It's better to speak up, and please don't retreat into yourself. Okay, let's think about the mechanics of that. Wait, hold on. So, Malbon, for example, can actually read Vicky's mind. But that's because they share a connection. And when other people want to get into her head, they have to actually physically, like, assault her. Like, mentally assault her to get into her head. So they can't just automatically read her thoughts. So it's not a common trait to just be able to, just because you're an immortal, to be able to read someone's thoughts. So that is true. And Malbon can only do it because they have a certain connection. It's better to speak up, and please don't retreat into yourself. The fantasies Melody had entertained about her superior now seem not only silly, but frightening. What would he say if he knew I was attracted to him? He's not just my boss, he's the right hand of God. What am I to him? Probably something like an ant. Melody was lost in her thoughts and didn't notice Mikael moving closer. His voice took on a surprisingly sad tone, as if he shared her longing. I don't want the wings to become a wall between us. The world has already set too many obstacles for us. Melody could have sworn that she could physically feel those obstacles. I have to be a complete fool to even think of being attracted to him. Fearing that Mikael could read this in her eyes, Melody turned away. I won't have any more outbursts to cause you any more problems, I promise. There was no approval. Instead, Mikael spoke of something else. My life on Earth spans millennia, Melody. And while time flows differently for me, the feelings we have for each other are similar. Melody was stunned by his whispered words. She froze, unable to move. Mikael helped her understand the meaning of those words by gently lifting her chin. He looked into her eyes. You mean more to me than you can imagine, Melody. But I won't let my feelings harm you. There must have been some secret in his words, but right then they sounded like a rejection. Melody pulled away gently and took a step back. Who am I to question your decisions? For a moment, Melody did feel a wall, but it wasn't the wings. Mikael seemed to sense this too. He immediately regretted what he had said. The confession that should have brought them joy now brought only a dull pain. Now that he's confessed out loud, it would be much harder for Mikael to keep his feelings to himself. His answers would probably make my head spin. He can still talk to Mikael. Oh, I forgot, that was just the first one. Goodness. Here we go. Here I was thinking this episode was a little bit shorter. Look at him with this! Oh, that's so funny. You've mentioned many times that you didn't choose this path. And now you told me that living among humans brings you no joy to immortals. Is working here your punishment? I'm fulfilling my duty. As is Raphael. Mentioning their true nature out loud felt uncomfortable, but with an effort, Melody managed it. What about the demons? Don't angels fight them? Demons tend to fight amongst themselves. For power, for thrones, for an extra scrap of land. Melody thought about that and drew a parallel to humans. It's like we really were made in their image. However, we do have an unusual mix here. There are some facts about your colleagues' lives that you should indeed know. Melody held her breath and leaned forward. David is the son of a demon who was once very influential. If he returns home, he will be torn to pieces. One part of him will replace his father, and the other will be destroyed. It's kind of like a Malbon situation where they're trying to destroy a section of him. Like, they're trying to destroy the Bont part of David. He chose to live here and serve God. Filoni has broken the laws of both heaven and hell. Her path leads only to the gallows. Is she asking you for mercy? Not for herself, for her loved ones. But it is not in my power to arrange their reunion. Is she doomed? Melody didn't get to ask what exactly Felonia had done before Mikael moved on. Cassiel is perhaps the only one who can leave, but he is also the only one who certainly never will. He lost someone dear to him here. His sister is buried near the statue of Astrea. The stories were so brief and so heavy in their essence, they settled like a stone on her heart. It suddenly ached for every resident of this house. That's probably all I can tell you without going into topics I shouldn't. I understand. Yeah, the rest of that is their stories to tell. Melody felt she had learned too much already. They were supposed to tell me this themselves when the time was right. Well, I was thinking if we keeping secrets, stuff just kind of pours out. Because secrets will come out eventually. They chose to lie for this long. So unfortunately, they didn't get to do it in the way that they wanted to, and that's neither here nor there now. Each of us carries our own pain. And I'm sure we all want to share it with someone, even if no one admits it. Melody would have gladly shared everyone's pain. However, I did notice that he shared considerably more about what the demon's burdens was, and not what his and Raphael's was, though. Let's keep that in mind. There was a dissonance within her upon learning her colleague's immortality. She immediately became familiar with their weaknesses, and those weaknesses were common to all mortals. We're all running from something. It doesn't matter if we have wings on our backs or not. You've learned interesting information about your colleagues. Alright, last one. I was glad that you're not afraid to get closer to him. This is his normal stance, I think. Yes, but the reality is a bit different from what humans describe. Melody skipped the details and asked the main question on her mind. Did my mother really call me? Did she call me from hell? Mikael had probably promised himself to answer her honestly, and so he nodded reluctantly. Yes, it was her. Sometimes a rift opens between our worlds. We try to seal it. Communication between the living and the dead is forbidden. But it's possible. A glimmer of hope immediately returned to her heart, only to pierce it like cold steel. There's very little left of your mother. That glimpse of consciousness you heard on the phone was already a miracle. A miracle that only a mother trying to protect her child could achieve. His words brought her even more pain. The tortures and torments that human souls endure in hell are indescribable. Physical pain is nothing compared to what these souls experience. Mikael seemed to sense the effect of his words and hurried concluded. Your mother will hardly remember you even if she saw you. The only thing souls beg for is true death. But alas, deliverance is a joy they receive only when they can no longer feel. I understand. Thank you. She couldn't suppress her fear. So that's what awaits me after death. Alright. Melody sighed heavily and finally sat down in the chair. I think I need some time to process all this. We're not rushing you, Melody. After a brief pause, Mikael suddenly remembered the superiors. By the way, Somnus and Furious are also celestial beings. I think I figured that out as soon as I saw them. What's special about them? Their abilities. They can control people's dreams. Didn't her nightmares specifically get worse when they got here? So is it them tormenting her dreams? The unexpected news made her jump up. Can it give people nightmares? Mikael wasn't sure what had gotten into her. He nodded thoughtfully. They want me to leave the agency, don't they? I don't think they would stoop to something like that, Melody. She could have argued, but as usual, her boss's voice had already cooled her fervor. Have you been having nightmares? Yes, ever since Raphael saved me. I dream about the cultists. Just don't tell me it's a result of trauma. Mikael showed only concern. I hope these dreams will stop, Melody. But I'm sure Somnus and Furious are not to blame. Seems awfully suspect, but at the same time, I kind of believe it. The conversation went no further. The unexpected revelation was too strange. It didn't seem like a coincidence. That was hard. But I still get the feeling that it's not necessarily them. But it does a strange coincidence, so. They explicitly said that I have to leave Astrea. They gave me horrible assignments, so what's stopping them from messing with my mind if they can? Feeling drained, Melody bid Mikael farewell. The word archangel rang like a bell in her head over and over. How much of the Bible aligns with this biography? Before going to bed, Melody thought about taking the pills Malek had given her. She decided to stop by the kitchen for some water just in case. Lot to think about there. The kitchen greeted her with peaceful silence. The residents of the house made no sound, allowing her to think calmly about what to do next. Melody worried that it would be even harder for her to escape a nightmare. She gave herself some more time. She twirled the bottle in her hand for a while, then decided to take the pills in her bedroom. It's like I'm delaying the inevitable. But the closer she got to her bedroom door, the more her resolve faded. I'll have another nightmare. Nothing will change. Melody truly believed that somewhere in the shadows of her room was Moore himself, burned alive in the church, and that he was waiting for her to finally lie down in the bed and close her eyes. What could be scarier than reality, where she could really die? But in reality, Raphael saved me. In a dream, I'm alone with the nightmares. And no angel will save me from myself. Why are you standing still? For some reason, him in his PJs, he's never looked more attractive. I don't know why. Okay. Let's pause. Okay. Now, we've caught up with Cassiel's route, and we're going to continue on from here. Why are you standing still? Startled, Melody dropped a glass that she was holding. Uh-oh. She turned around with such a frightened expression that even Cassiel was taken aback. He stared in a daze at the shards on the floor, then at the evaluator. He tried to figure out what he had done wrong this time. No beast needs to hunt me down. Cassiel would kill me with his habit of sneaking up behind me. At first, she wanted to yell at him, but all her worries dissolved in overwhelming fatigue. It felt like the suddenly broken glass had made the decision over accepting Malek's help for her. So, no medication then. Melody waved the question away. She thought about cleaning up the shards and where to put them. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Melody waved that away too, kneeling down. Then she realized that she started picking up the fragments with her hands again. She would definitely cut herself. I think it's time to visit Astrea's storage closet. The unusual silence worried Cassiel greatly. He knelt beside her and looked intently into her eyes. Are you alright? This needs to be cleaned up. Someone could get hurt. She's in super avoidance behavior. I'll take care of it. Melody was in no mood to argue or clean up. She willingly accepted the help. Thanks. She stood up and headed straight for her bedroom. She prepared to go to sleep. Maybe all this was really because of my lost memory? Maybe things will get better now? She had barely gotten to bed when there was a soft knock at the door. Melody hoped it wasn't the start of another nightmare. She peered cautiously into the hallway. She was relieved to see Cassiel through the crack in the door. He was holding a glass of water. She opened the door wider. Thanks, but I don't need it anymore. God, Melody, it's not like I did it on purpose. Melody realized how her words might have sounded. She hastened to explain. I really don't need it. I've changed my mind. The confusion on his face made it clear that taking the glass would be easier than trying to explain anything. But Cassiel did not wait for thanks or explanations. He walked into the room and set the glass on the bedside table. He muttered irritably. Sometimes you act like a child. Me? I took the water to wash down some sedatives. I wasn't sure if I should take them or not. When I broke the glass, I decided it wasn't worth it. Trying to grasp her point, Cassiel asked, Is this because of the last assignment? No, it's because of my nightmares. They just won't stop. Do you dream about us? Melody shook her head and sat down on the edge of the bed. Maybe I'll dream about you tonight. Mikael told me that all of you are immortal. The news seemed to surprise Cassiel as well. It surprised him so much that he, too, decided to sit. He threw Melody a wary glance and sat beside her cautiously. How are you? Melody had to look inside herself in order to answer the question. How am I really? I'm fine. I'm not doing so great. I'm not sure. This one's not as clear. Because on the surface, I'm fine could be like skeptic, brush it off. At the same time, it could be also like faith, go with the flow. And it could be not doing so great because skeptic, because with faith she'd be at least have some footing in this world, whereas skeptic is just like, not only is it crazy to have to believe, but she really doesn't want to believe, so she's kind of like a little bit more off balance than on the faith route. So maybe I'm not doing so great. Of course, this is all very strange, frightening even, but I feel like I belong here with all of you. Cassiel's shoulders relaxed a little. I'm glad you see it that way. It will be too much for you to handle if I escaped again. Instead of agreeing, Cassiel gave her a warm smile. Melody felt the room filled with the peace that he brought with him. She wanted to keep him there just a little longer, to let the room soak up his protection, and to talk to him about something. Are your wings like Raphael's? Cassiel didn't respond immediately. It was like he was remembering what his colleague's wings looked like. He probably is trying to. Like I said, they don't show each other their true looks. Oh wait, I wonder if she doesn't have that information because I didn't take that first diamond option from Mikael this time to show the wings. Interesting. Mine are black. Can you show them to me? No. Before taking offense at his refusal, Melody wondered what the reason might be. Maybe they can't always use them? But Cassiel explained his point. Haven't you seen enough impressive things for one day? Are your wings really that impressive? Cassiel sensed her attempt to challenge him and smirked. Oh, sorry. I forgot you're not so easily impressed by wings anymore, Melody. So you won't show them. Another time. I promise. Another time was good enough for her. Alright. Try to get some sleep, Melody. We've got a tough assignment tomorrow. Oh boy. To avoid unnecessary anxiety, Melody decided not to ask for details. If you still can't sleep, come knock on my door. The problem is, once she's in her nightmare, she kind of can't wake up until morning. It's kind of like a sleep paralysis sort of vibe. We can take a walk in the garden. Alright. Cassiel had already stayed too long in a bedroom that wasn't his. He got up to leave. Melody noticed this and panicked. Maybe I should ask him to stay? Melody tentatively touched his hand and whispered, "Can you stay with me a little longer?" Her barely perceptible touch clearly had power over him. Cassiel complied immediately. He sat back down and his gaze fell to her hand. Melody didn't pull her hand away. Instead, she squeezed his fingers tighter. "I feel calm when you're around." Melody was afraid to look into his eyes and see indifference. Cassiel was afraid to raise his eyes and show her his feelings. They both looked elsewhere. "I'll wait until you fall asleep, Melody. Lie down." She had to let go of his hand. Melody put her legs up and immediately climbed into bed. This time, Cassiel could not control where his gaze landed. The already thin fabric of her bedclothes stretched seductively, extenuating her curves. The inappropriate thought that she was wearing nothing underneath crept into his mind. Cassiel frowned. He tried to push it away and failed. It seemed to take her forever to get under the blanket. "Sorry for keeping you from resting." Cassiel cleared his throat and replied in his usual terse manner. "It's fine." Melody promised herself that she would fall asleep as quickly as possible so as not to torture him. She rolled over onto her side and folded her hands under her pillow. She looked up at him. Cassiel simply didn't know where to look anymore. The blanket only half covered her chest. Her too revealing neckline drew his attention over and over again. Unable to take it anymore, Cassiel reached out to her. He felt her entire body tense as his fingers accidentally brushed against her bare skin. Cassiel covered her more securely with the blanket, then pulled away. It took a moment, but the reason for his unusual outburst of concern dawned on her. I'm such an idiot. Embarrassed, Melody barely resisted the urge to hide under the blanket altogether. She managed to restrain herself and simply pulled it up to her chin. She tried to find a topic of conversation to distract them both, but her mind kept returning to his uncharacteristic gaze and slightly hazy eyes. After several long, awkward seconds, she found the subject. "Cassiel? What's it like to be immortal? What's it like to fly?" What's it like to fly? Wait, is one faith and one scripted? I don't even know. I'm gonna ask about flying. Can I ask both? Cassiel fell silent for a while, as if he had never asked himself that question before. "It's as natural for us as it is for you to walk." "Natural. I wish I could fly away wherever I want." Her romantic fantasy was shattered by his honest answer. "I may have wings, but I don't have that option anyway." Cassiel saw the corners of her mouth drop and quickly added, "Where would you like to go?" "Just taking off and feeling free as a bird already sounds amazing." There was a brief pause, then Cassiel gave them hope for something they both wanted. "Someday I'll show you the sky, I promise. But for now, sleep." His words made something flutter inside her. Happily lost in these distracting thoughts, she closed her eyes. Cassiel listened to her breathing. He waited for it to turn slow and deep. He admired her features. When Melody finally fell asleep, Cassiel did not get up right away. The peaceful expression on her face suggested that she wasn't dreaming at all. But he still continued to sit by her side, waiting for the nightmares. Waiting for her brows to furrow so he could save her immediately. So he could pull her out of the imaginary danger. Cassiel even allowed himself a small fantasy. He pictured her waking up anxiously in his arms. He imagined it so vividly that he found himself wishing she would have a nightmare just so he could comfort her. But her sleep was peaceful. Cassiel waited almost until dawn before he finally got up. Cassiel left the room, sincerely hoping that he had fulfilled her request. He left with new feelings that were impossible to ignore. Feelings stirred in him by the delicate lace that clung to her alluring curves. He evoked feelings in Cassiel that he can't resist. The house Melody grew up in hadn't changed at all. The floorboards greet the old resident with a familiar creak. Wait, did her nightmare decide to pick up right when he left the room? That's so messed up. She almost made it to dawn. They led her to the old but well-kept couch. The room still smelled the same, a light, honeyed scent of wax and the musty smell of well-worn books. Melody sat on the firm slipcover. She folded her hands in her lap out of habit and stared at the window. Dust particles slowly danced in the air in front of her like tiny yellow stars. Melody watched her dance and waited. And this time, the wait was very long. At some point, Melody thought her father had forgotten about her. But just as hope sparked in her heart, a voice came from behind her. "Are you ready, Melody?" Her father stood in front of her, scattering the dust particles. He placed his heavy hand on her fragile shoulder. He squeezed it, as he always did, without considering his own strength. He didn't expect an answer from her. It was always the same. Standing up obediently, Melody cast a glance at the door leading outside, preparing to leave for the hours-long service. But this time, her father led her in a different direction. The room had changed. A door had appeared out of nowhere in the once smooth wall. It creaked open as if obeying a silent command, revealing its black maw. "Come, Melody. I will introduce you to the beast." Rude. Very rude. So what's the significance of that she wasn't aware that Cassiel was going to stay that long. And she did start to have a nightmare, but it appears like only after he left. So, to me, there's been a lot of talk about this being her trauma and that perhaps it was her subconscious attacking her, but I still think it might be an external force. Just maybe not Sumnus or Furious. And for some reason, it didn't want to try to do that when Cassiel was there. Suspicious. Very suspicious. Okay. Well, alright. So we're finally getting some answers. They're finally coming clean about who they are to her. So now we can really get into the meat of it. So she can finally get her wits about her about that. And so we can dive a little bit deeper into the whole magical aspect as it comes to this story. So that will certainly be interesting. But anyway, I'm going to end this part right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and show the like button some love. Subscribe to see more content like this. And I will see you next time. Bye!